Welcome to the channel. This is the first video of 2023 and it's going to be on some of the habits that I'm taking into 2023. If you like content like this, give it a like and subscribe. We talk about all things money, lifestyle, finances and career. So jumping straight into it, it is creating systems, not goals. If any of you watching have ever read James Clear's Atomic Habits, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. In the book, James Clear talks about scrapping goals and setting systems in place. Systems that will allow you to create habits that will then eventually lead to you achieving those goals. And the reason why this is so powerful is because if you're focusing on the goal too much rather than the systems, firstly, you don't actually enjoy the journey and you don't actually learn as you're going along because you're so hyper focused on achieving that end goal rather than enjoying and learning along the way. And the best example of this that I had was one of the exams that I'm doing. I'm currently studying to be a financial planner in the UK, and one of the exams I was so focused on getting it passed by March last year that I didn't actually think about how I could achieve that. So I was just constantly doing past papers and just trying to nail it and saying I'm going to pass this, I'm going to pass this, and then I failed it. And then going into the next exam after I eventually resat that one, this time I said to myself, right, I'm going to study 1 hour every single day and until I'm ready to actually sit the exam. And what this meant is I gave myself an hour every day on a certain subject to make sure I really understood it a lot better. And because I was studying 1 hour every day, I was just making sure I was hyper focused on really understanding that topic that I sat myself that day. So getting 1% better every day, these building blocks, and I actually achieved the best exam result that I've had so far. And that leads on to my habit number 2, and that is waking up earlier. So I've always wanted to wake up earlier, and I just assumed that I was a bit of a night owl. I always stayed up late past midnight, even when I was getting up early in the mornings. And I just put it down to the fact that I just couldn't sleep, and I enjoyed sitting up all night watching YouTube and watching different sports and stuff. And that follows on from the last point. So the way I was going wrong in the past was I was saying to myself, right, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow. But then when it came to night time and it was 9, 10 o'clock, I hadn't even got down into bed, or I hadn't relaxed, or I hadn't turned off. And then before I know it, I'm waking up at 7, 8 a.m. the next day. So following what James Clear says, I focused on the night before and creating habits on the night before. So winding down, making sure I had everything ready for the next day so that when I went to bed, I got my 7 to 8 hours sleep. And when I woke up, I was ready to go. Everything was laid out for me and I could just take it. This has been a massive game changer for me because I am pretty busy. I'm studying to be a financial planner. I work full time. I try and make content on the side as well. I also play golf and I like to keep fit and go to the gym. And that also leads on to my next point. But this just makes sure that I can fit everything into one day. And to be honest, I'm not missing anything at night time by going to bed earlier. I really had this chip on my shoulder that, well, after 9 p.m. when I was sitting watching YouTube, that was my time of day to relax. But actually getting up earlier, there's a really good feeling to waking up as the rest of the world is waking up. You kind of see the sunrise coming up, and yeah, it's just a much clearer, better way getting stuff done for you before you start working as well. If you work a 9 to 5, it's a really good way to make sure that you give yourself you time. So you've still got a few hours before you actually start work in the mornings to focus on anything that you need to focus on for that day. And it's definitely gave me a lot better mental clarity. And that kind of leads on to the next one, and that is running. So another habit that I have never been able to stick is running. And it's something that I've always wanted to do, just like waking up earlier. And the two kind of go in hand now. So I get up early and 3 times a week I get up and go a run, and I'm already seeing the massive benefits of the mental toughness side of running and being out there alone by yourself before anybody else is up and before work. You know that you've had the hardest part of your day over and done with by the time you sit down in the chair at 9 o'clock in the morning. Previously, when I tried to run, I just was failing with running. I just hated it. I just said to myself again, I'm not a runner. I hate running. I'm too big to run. And that was just not true. I was just going about it the wrong way. So again, I've created habits for myself. So I lay out my running gear the night before, and then when I get up, I can just chuck that straight on. And I've went into zone 2 training. And if you don't know what zone 2 training is, it's basically training at a lower heart rate for either a distance or a period of time. So it's not actually, you're not actually exerting much energy, but you really do feel the benefits over the long term. And for me, I was always guilty when I started to run as just being too keen, thinking of the end goal again, try and get that 5 miles done or however long it was going to be, and I would just burst a gut. And then at the end I would say, I don't know why anybody runs, this is rubbish. I hated it. So instead now I actually enjoy it. I take my time, pace myself, and over the long term you do get better. Again, 1% better every day. And that takes us on to habit number 4, which is sticking to a budget. So back on terms with this channel, and it's a financial tip this time, and I've always set budgets for myself, but I didn't really stick to them. I kind of, if I had money left in one part of my budget, I would let it bleed into another, which just ended up developing bad money habits. So instead, I'm really focused on my budget now, and the main points of creating my budget is making sure that there is money that I can spend for fun or buying clothes, or if that's what I want to do that month. If I know there's something coming up, make sure that money's reserved for that exact event, so that I'm not spending, getting to the event and having to bleed again into a different part of my budget. If you want to know more about how I budget, I'm going to make another video on the ways that I've implemented better budgeting in 2022, and hopefully that carries on to 2023. And lastly, habit number 5. So habit number 5 again is another financial habit, and I think it's one of the most important habits that you can learn, especially when you're young, going on to the rest of your financial life and creating a really good financial plan for yourself, and that is automating your finances. I cannot speak enough about how powerful automating my finances has been for me. The process, if you're not familiar with automating your finances, basically if you're investing money, you set up direct debits so that every month an amount that you can afford to save or invest towards your goals is taken straight out after you've been paid. And then any reoccurring bills that you know that come out monthly that are an exact amount, you can set up standing orders from your bank to be paid out. So effectively, when you're paid, you just have to check that you've been paid enough, and all the money goes out to the places that you've already set for yourself. That also helps with the compounding over time and pound cost averaging. If you're buying in monthly consistently, you're pound cost averaging. If you want to know more about that, check my Instagram. There's a few reels on that concept. And that's it. That's my 5 habits that I'm taking into 2023. And as I said, if you're taking any habits into 2023, comment them down below. I'd be really interested to know other habits that people are implementing in their life, and let me know if they're successful or not. As always, check out my other socials in the description below. Give the video a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.